Coming up on this edition of Two Right Turns, our guests are Adam Randall and Ronan Hanafin, two former wide receivers who found homes at new positions. And on top of that, we're talking special teams and snowballs. Two Right Turns starts now.
You take those two right turns, and when they make the final turn, you can begin to hear the crowd and the noise of the open end of the stadium.
Here it is, the most exciting 25 seconds in college football.
Hello, everybody, and it's my pleasure to once again say these words. Welcome to Studio C of the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute for another episode of Two Right Turns, a Clemson football podcast. My name is Ross Taylor, and today our guests are actually a couple of familiar faces that you've seen a lot more in new places in the 2025 season. So we'll go around the room and ask you guys to introduce yourselves, your name, jersey number, and your position.
Ronan Hanafin, number 5, and safety.
I'm Adam Randall, running back, number 8.
And different positions than y'all would have said if we'd started this podcast a couple years ago. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But first and foremost, coming off of a very resilient win against Troy in a day that I think was a little odd for everybody with the lightning delay and just the way everything played out. What are kind of your initial takeaways from the weekend?
I think that this weekend was needed for the team, just going through some adversity with, the weather delay and, having some obstacles throughout the game. It's really good to see a team overcome, some difficulties, especially early in the season. And I think it's going to be a really big impact for us as we go on into conference play.
Obviously a tough loss week 1, but at the end of the day, we got the win in week 2. So I think it's really going to help us out. And, we've seen what we need to see and, make the corrections and move on.
Well, I mentioned, obviously, in pregame you had the weather delay that kind of changed the warm-up and timeline a little bit from what it usually is, and then the 92-minute weather delay in the first quarter, which was the 5th weather delay in the history of Death Valley. And everybody was curious how you all handled the delay. And part of the reason I asked that is not only handling the delay, but then at halftime, it seems like it'll come out almost an entirely different team. So talking about those two breaks, kind of how did you personally and how did the team really approach? Let's go first with the weather delay.
So 92 minutes in between any, portion of a game is a long time. And I think that coming out, we might have been a little bit stagnant coming out. And, it's difficult trying to reboot yourself after you've been sitting down for an hour and a half and, go out there and play a football game. You're just in there going over different plays, different things that we might have seen on the first 3 plays of the drive. I mean, you don't want to overkill it. But, going into the second half, we know what we have on our team. We have a really, really good team. We just knew that we had to go out there and execute better. And I think that once we put our heads down, just went to work in the second half, we just wanted to make that single play that we were playing the best play. And I think that's what helped propel us to come back in the second half. And also, just great leadership within the locker room, trying to keep everybody focused throughout halftime. Some people think that when you come in there and you just yell and scream, that's what you need to hear. But everybody knows what we needed to do. We just had to go out there and do it. And I'm just so proud of our team and just putting our heads down and, making every single play the most important play that we needed to make it because our season was banking on it at that point.
Is that the same for the defense, Ronan?
Yeah. It was kind of just weird, to be honest. Like, that was the longest game of my life. You come out there, you're waiting all day to play, and then you finally get out there, play one drive. We literally just got out for the next series, and they're, blowing whistle telling us to go inside. So, it's easy to get like discouraged or whatever and, just kind of get down on yourself and just, get annoyed or whatever. But you just kind of gotta lock in and, they're going through the same thing. So it's not like, just one-sided. So, just gotta lock in and, kind of just stay prepared and stay stretched out, do your thing.
I was going to say, you're in the race car attire today, but, elite athletes aren't like race cars where it's just push to start. Y'all got a whole warm-up process and stretching out and staying loose and getting ready and all that. So, do you really have to repeat that, just trying to time out when you think you're going to be back? Is it staying stretched and loose the whole time? What's it like?
At first we didn't know how long it was going to be. So at first, I got right in the locker room. I started, you're just staying loose, stretching out. But after the first 25 minutes, I kind of just sat down and chill out a little bit while we were going over the film. And just, the first drive. But after that, we kind of just all got together, did a little stretch in the locker room, and then went outside, quick warm-up, and then back at it.
Good. Well, we're going to turn to the screen here, and this is where I implore all of our fans who are listening to us via audio only to either join us on YouTube or Clemson Plus. That way you guys can see what they are seeing. But wanted to come up. I mean, obviously, both of you just had big games on Saturdays, and in particular in the second half, both of you really left an imprint. And so we want to start first. Ronan, getting your hands on the ball on this interception. Tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, so we were just playing like a certain coverage that I can't disclose, and I was just kind of play my man and kind of capped his route and just peeked in the backfield real quick just to see the timing of the play and what's going on, and just saw a quick saw the ball get out of his hands and thrown it, and he kind of just got a tip on it, and I just saw it in the air. I was like, oh, it's mine right there, and caught it. And at first I was kind of mad because I wanted to just keep running there, but I ended up cutting back because I saw the guy that was right in front of me cut across. I think it was Jay Lou that was blocking right in front of me, cut across the face. So I didn't want to get tackled right there. So I kind of just tried to make a play and cut back. But yeah, wanted to score there. But
well, and anybody who's ever had the privilege of listening to Coach Sweeney on a microphone during a practice, tips are what?
Tips are picks, baby.
Tips are picks. I don't know how many million times that we've all heard that, but it came true right there.
We got two that game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then Adam, I mean, we had a number of options to pull from you, but being able to see you come through the line and then break right and just get free down the sideline. I mean, how did that feel for you, just being able to get into the open field like that after running into such tough boxes for the first 2 weeks?
I just feel like we made really, really good adjustments throughout the second half. Coming back out, we saw that they were doing a certain type of stunt on the inside, so we started doing same side exchange handoffs for our schemes, running schemes, and it really just opened up the run game. So, once I got past the line of scrimmage, breaking it back, that's where you just go to work and have an opportunity. I wish I would have stayed up and scored there, like Ronan said, but when we changed our scheme up a little bit in the second half, it really helped us out because we realized what they were doing was they were playing off me in the backfield, and it really kind of gave them some problems. So shout out to Coach Luke and Coach Spiller for making that adjustment in the second half.
So for the unathletic guy in the room, tell me, whether it's this run or the run you had against Texas last year, what is that moment like when you're like, oh, wait a minute, I got something, and you have open field ahead of you?
Yeah, it's kind of like, all right, you gotta start picking up your speed, because within the line of scrimmage is kind of something that I've been learning differently now, because I'm in a receiver. When I played receiver for the last 3 years, you just kind of want to take off and get up and go. But within the line of scrimmage at running back, you kind of have to slow your pace down and, have the ability to see the cuts open up and set your blockers up. So once I get past the line of scrimmage and get into the secondary, that's really kind of where I'm back comfortable at the receiver play, yards after the catch. And, it's just something I've been able to be blessed to do. And once I get past the line of scrimmage, it's like, all right, what's the fastest way that I can get to the end zone? So that's my mindset. And, usually more times than not, it works out.
So we've got one more clip we want to go to. And Ronan, you got your hands on the ball on the interception earlier, but I know you're kicking yourself on this one. What happened here?
I saw green grass, and, you got to keep your eye on the ball. Yeah, so I'm going to definitely hit the drugs later for about 200 balls later. But, yeah, read the play out, and, we did a great job coverage and forcing the throw by all the guys up front. They did a great job, and I just, I saw green grass and wanted to take it. But, yeah, we're not going to let that one happen again.
I don't know if I've ever seen an angry somersault. That might be a first.
That's what I was going to say. He just kind of did a casual kick flip there after the play. I was like, wow, pretty athletic.
Yeah, I don't know. It all just kind of happened really fast.
Happened twice, like back to back.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it really was close together. Well, there were a couple reactions from teammates and coaches post-game that we want to get to. And we've got Coach Sweeney in the press conference first up.
That quarterback had not thrown any interceptions. So to pick him off 3 times and really Ronan 4, that's why we moved him to DB. Not out of catch. So it's 2 good weeks for Ronan.
Shots fired from the head coach there.
Yeah, I'll get him back on the jugs. We'll be there all afternoon.
Well, and your quarterback got involved in it too.
Definitely complimentary football at its finest. So it was really cool. I'm gonna be giving Ronan a hard time for dropping that one for about 3.5 years.
Yeah.
All right, well, that wraps up the videos we have for you all to react to. And now we want to open the fan mailbag presented by the South Carolina Department of Social Services. Learn more about public adoption by visiting dss.sc.gov. Our first question, and this is actually a great one, knowing both of your family backgrounds. Who's the best athlete in each of your families?
For me, probably raw athlete probably was my dad. He said he had 1,000 points in high school, still has records at North Myrtle Beach High School, or our rival high school actually. But between me and Austin, definitely my brother. I mean, when my brother came out of the womb, he was dunking. So he's definitely a better pure athlete than me. I just would say my work ethic kind of caught up with him eventually. But he's super uber athletic. And also both my great grandma and my grandma had 1,000 points in high school in basketball.
Jeez.
So yeah, I just come from a long line of athletes, and it was just not pressure on me, but at the end of the day, like if you weren't playing a sport, they were looking at you crazy.
Yeah, pressure was on for you.
Yeah.
Ronan, what about you?
My whole family is, I'd say, pretty athletic. My dad was the last quarterback at BU. My mom played soccer, and growing up, and we were always in every sport growing up, and I played football, hockey, lacrosse, baseball, basketball, everything. But as far as our family goes, I don't know. My older brother's at BC playing football. My younger brother just committed to West Virginia to play football, and then the two under them are going at it right now, and and one's in high school, one's in middle school, and my dad always says Daniel, who is the one two under me. He's 16 and sophomore, and he's just starting to get in his bag, and he's kind of long and lengthy right now, but he's always been pretty much the most athletic, just good at whatever he does. I'd love to say me, but I think it's definitely my younger brother Daniel.
Well, you're setting the bar at being able to play on 3 sides of the ball at the collegiate level, so maybe no pressure on him either, I guess.
Yeah.
Next question, we're going to go to Blaine here. Asks, do you feel like the position swap was for both of you was easier or harder than you expected, and why? And we'll chat about this a little bit more later. But would you say easier or harder?
For me personally, I say it's easier. Just being able to use my bigger frame, it definitely helps me out a lot. And for my entire life, running with the football was the best thing that I've done. And now, just being at running back, I feel like I can really showcase those skills a little bit more.
Ronan?
I think physically easier, mentally probably a little harder, just because I didn't know anything about defense. Coming over, it was funny. D-Mac just shot me a text this morning. Literally, I think it was like a couple of days ago, August something.
Yeah. And
he said, "Why don't you come over to my office and let's chat?" And little did I know I'd end up switching positions and whatever else. But yeah, just learning the scheme and all that. Coming out of high school, it was kind of just see the ball and get the ball. But at the end of the day, that's what football is. So mentally, it wasn't hard, but it was definitely at some points challenging, and obviously still trying to work through it. There's still a bunch I got to learn, and but physically, I think I'd pretty good, and I like to be physical and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, it was good and it was fun. I'm glad I did it.
So next question, we've got 2 home games in the books so far. What's the feeling like of running down the hill every week?
It's electric, especially night game versus LSU, top 10 matchup. It really can't be unbeaten. I mean, it's something that you really dream of. It's not really it's hard to describe if you've never done it, especially like when you come around those 2 corners and you see the crowd just going crazy, and it's just something that is surreal. And it just really kind of for me, it takes me back to my childhood when I would watch, the Taj Boyds and, the New Hopkins come around the corner and they would get up on top of that hill. And it really just showed me like how far I've come. And, it's just, I got how many left? 5 left. I'm just trying to take them all in while I can.
Bro?
Yeah, it's everyone says like the most, what does it say, the best 25 seconds.
Exciting 25 seconds in college football, yeah.
That. It's amazing. Running down there with all the fans. You look out and you see everyone, the fireworks and all this other stuff. And Sweeney sprinting down the hill is always crazy. Touching the rock and run down. I always do my little Spider-Man thing. But yeah, it's unreal. It's just a crazy feeling every single time you do it.
Yeah, you get some air on that. I've seen the photo on the Spider-Man thing. You're moving.
Yeah, a little bit. I try to get up there a little bit, but try to not to twist the ankle on the way down.
Well, it's the fan mailbag, but some of your teammates are fans of you guys as well. So Cade Klubnik wants to know favorite roommate you all have had.
I think me and Ronan have been Cade's roommate for the last couple of years, and Cade's a great roommate. Shout out to him for sure, and shout out to Josh Davis and Caleb Nix. Also, those were our other 2 roommates when I was there. So they were all studs. So I'm not gonna pick a favorite.
Yeah, you can't really trap us in a hole there.
Give us the book on Cade as a roommate, though. Like, is he super clean? Is he messy? Is he loud? Is he quiet?
Do we expose him right now?
I'm not going to expose his own space. There's a lot going through that head during the week, especially during the season. But for the most part, in the common areas like the living room and I shared a bathroom with him for a whole year. He was pretty clean and he was pretty organized. But for his own space, that's for him.
Yeah. I had, Josh and Caleb too, and Will Helded just moved in January. So that's always, a great time. And, at the end of the day, we're always, joking around and, messing with each other and stuff. And, the jokes never stop. And, I have some, funny stories, but I'll save those for later.
All right, we got one final question. Our director of applied science, Alex Bina, got in with this, and if you know Bina, you can read it in his voice. They say LeBron James's unique combination of size, strength, and speed ushered in the era of positionless basketball in the NBA. Adam, with the versatility that you bring both to the backfield and split out wide, how do you respond to the allegations that you're the LeBron James of college football?
Oh, man. Shout out to Bina. We're going back and forth about who's the GOAT in basketball
That'd be
all
the
the
second.
time.
So he's asking you if you're like the second best.
What do you mean?
Like LeBron James, since he's like the second best.
Second best in what?
Like everything. Basketball.
I wouldn't tell.
This is about to be a fist fight.
I wouldn't tell fibs on the podcast. But so I just wouldn't compare myself to somebody who's that great. Yeah. So I don't know, man. He's one of the all-time greats in basketball, and he's done so much for the community. But I do think I bring a lot of versatility while I'm on the field. Maybe not as much as LeBron James guarding every position on the basketball court, but Ronan can probably attest to that. He played all 3 phases of the game, so he might be a little bit more versatile than me. So but shout out to Bina. We always go back and forth about who's the GOAT and who's not, but it's not really a debate. I
try to be versatile and anything I can be. I just try to go out there and play football at the end of the day. I don't think I'm one position. I think I'm just a football player, and I kind of just go out there and, work hard, hit hard, run fast, do my thing.
What I would say is they always try to say LeBron James is the ultimate team player, but this guy right here is one of the most ultimate team players that I've ever been a teammate with. Even as a freshman, he played on punt team, played on every single special team, and that's really selfless of a person if you know how much it takes to play on, know every single scheme, every single thing that you can do on special teams. He's done it. He's really given himself to the team and, put his body on the line for his teammates and, the pause. So he's really one of those guys that, you just enjoy and love to run out there with every single week.
It's love.
That's one heck of a testimonial to close out our fan mailbag. There are children of all ages in South Carolina who are in need of a forever home. Many are teens, siblings, or have complex medical needs. Public adoption through the South Carolina Department of Social Services can not only be life-changing for them, it can be life-changing for you too. When you provide stability, guidance, and support, you're giving a young person the foundation to succeed. Learn more about public adoption in South Carolina at dss.sc.gov. Now back to Two Right Turns. So moving on, we want to talk a little bit. Adam, this offseason, you had the opportunity to be part of Clemson's Emmy award-winning House Call series. So fans got to go down to Little River and see kind of where you came up and the old cars and the barbershop and all that. But one of the things that I think really hit home for all of us was seeing the story of you and your parents in the kitchen, telling the story of you receiving the offer from Clemson. If you can you kind of reshare that story a little bit and then just maybe give us a little bit of insight on why it was always Clemson for you and why you were so excited when the opportunity opened?
Yeah, so, I mean, if you have an opportunity to see that episode, it would definitely go through my past and, the journey. It's also funny because if you see the videos of my room, everything is taken down and kind of like re-put up because they repainted my room when I left. But yeah, when I was coming up in high school, Clemson was really just kind of the spot. And in 8th grade, I had the opportunity to come to the camp. Actually, in 7th grade, the year before, my dad snuck me into the camp and told him that I was an 8th grader. So that was my first opportunity to come to the camp. Then the next year, I was actually able to come to the camp because I was old enough. And, I just was bopping along, going through the lines, getting put in the Sweeney lines. And I really sit down, and there's this guy already sitting there at the line. And I mean, brown hair, bushy, a lot of hair on top of his head, but, I don't know who he is. And he just was really excited to have me on his team, which I had never played. Well, I had played Sweeney ball the year before, but I was just kind of surprised, why is he so excited? And we're going throughout the day. People keep coming up to him throughout the camp, and it just really seems like he has a really, really good feel for the area and the atmosphere of what's going on here. We go over there to Jervey Meadows. Coach Tyler Grisham is our coach, and Coach Grisham has him at the front of the lines, doing the drills, and I'm right behind him. I'm like, bro, who is this guy? Who is this kid? So, we go off to dinner and we go off to lunch. We come back, and now it's time to play Sweeney ball. And, we're playing this game, and I think we're about a game and a half in, and we just blew somebody out, and he's really good. I mean, he knows the game back to back. I mean, he's throwing the ball over his head and catching it over little kids. I'm like, bro, who is this guy? And I just remember – my dad was sitting on one side of the end zone, and he threw me a really, really long pass, and I see this golf cart coming in the distance, and I'm like, who is on this golf cart? I just really think it's a camper. And as soon as I catch the pass, I look up, and it's Dabo Sweeney and it's Coach Sweeney sitting there. I'm like, why in the world is Coach Sweeney watching an 8th grade Sweeney ball game? Doesn't he have some recruits to go, attend to or hang out with? And the kid just runs by, and he goes, great job, Clay, great job. And he said, and Clay goes, thanks, Dad, thanks. And I'm like, what? And it happened to be Clay Sweeney. And, ever since then, we hit it off since that day. And we've been close friends ever since, just kept up with each other throughout high school. And when I was coming up and recruiting, I got COVID hit, and I just was kind of getting offers from these other schools, but I knew in my heart Clemson was where I wanted to be, just because I had been there so many times, and I really enjoyed the atmosphere and the family that was built. And when I just got the opportunity to be a really, really good receiver coming out of high school, and me and Coach Grish, built a connection and a relationship throughout 8th grade, through that 8th grade camp. And he told me after that camp, hopefully one day he would be able to recruit me. And so I just put my head down and went to work, even through COVID. And in my junior year, Coach Grish had contacted me, and I remember like it was yesterday. It was, I want to say it was September 1st, because that's when you can contact the recruits going into 11th grade. And he called me at it was 12 or 1 a.m. And I was like, why is this dude calling me? But I'm still up because I'm getting all this mail from coaches and coaches and coaches. But he calls me and he says that he wanted to give me a scholarship to Clemson, and I just remember falling out of my bed and then running up to my parents' room and letting them know that I had just got a scholarship. My mom was still half asleep. My dad was about to start crying because he knew how much it meant to me, and, you know, it just was a surreal moment, and, you know, just kind of how God worked, it just came all in full circle. So it was really just one of the best moments of my life.
Well, we appreciate you sharing that story, and for your parents sharing that story as well on House Call. We really, truly encourage everybody who hasn't watched it to go and watch House Call on YouTube, featuring Adam Randall as well as 3 others that our team put together over this offseason. And Ronan, I want to ask you, because last week there was a story in the Greenville News from Darian Carter just talking about your upbringing and your story, which is vastly different. There's not a lot of Massachusetts guys that choose to come to Clemson. Obviously, we have a very famous example in Christian Wilkins, but, I mean, you're kind of charting a very unique path. But in the story, it also talked about, you know, your dad kind of helping build toughness in you, and he'd talk about his hurricane-level scale for hits and all of this. And, you know, he was a former quarterback at Boston University. You know, how did he instill toughness in you, and kind of what was your family upbringing like that led you here?
Yeah, I think it was both my parents, my mom and my dad, that, you know, just, you know, from a very early, young age, kind of just made that the main thing. And, well, not the main thing, but very important in our lives is just, you know, my dad and my papa always used to say that my dad always says now is the harder you work on this side of 25, the easier the other side of 25 will be. So I think that's one thing I try to carry with me my whole life now. And yeah, they do a great job raising all us boys, and, you know, it's 5 boys, so it's, you know, crazy all the time, you know, fighting over everything and whatever else. But yeah, it was a great household, and you know, wouldn't change it for anything.
Well, for those who don't know, what does your dad do professionally?
He's a police captain in our town and SWAT team leader. So,
I mean, I imagine you can't grow up soft in a family that's being led by someone who has that rank and then that title inside of
Definitely not.
that region.
Definitely not.
Is there something about, you know, the Boston area, Massachusetts, in your personality that you just carry with you?
Some people, they say they hear it in the accent. I don't really think I have one, but I guess some words slip out and, you know, they hear that. But yeah, I mean, I guess just the way I was brought up, I love, you know, Italian food and, you know, obviously like sports teams and all that, Title Town, you know, more than anybody else. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a great time. And, you know, I have a very large family. My dad was one of 11, and, you know, just having all those, you know, cousins, I have 70 first cousins and then just around 70 second cousins. And, you know, it's all one big bash whenever any holiday or anything hits. So it's a great time. And yeah, just being able to grow up with all of them and in that area is just, you know, it's one of my favorite things in the world.
Well, we've talked about it a little bit, but I mean, part of the reason we wanted to have both of you is the two of you have very famously and publicly gone through position switches during your time here, and really the fruits of that are starting to bear out this season. So I want to hear from both of you how you've adjusted to new meeting rooms, new position coaches. I mean, Adam, you're kind of a veteran voice in a room that you're walking into for the first time. So we'll start with you. What was that transition like for you, not just on the field, but just in its entirety?
Well, to start off with, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to, you know, switch positions. And Coach Sweeney came to me with this after the ACC championship game and having a good kickoff return. And, you know, me maybe not as playing as much as I wanted to in the receiver room, but, you know, me moving into a new role, I just wanted to help the team. And, you know, that's all I've ever wanted. And when I really sat down and thought about it, and I always tell this story all the time, I talked with my brother, and he was like, bro, I mean, ever since you've been playing football, the best thing you do is run with the football. So, I mean, he really just kind of opened my eyes. And also my dad, you know, he reminded me in rec ball, he said every time I needed something done or we needed a big play, I would literally just hand you the ball. So that's what needed to happen. So, you know, when the opportunity presented itself, it took me only about 3 to 4 hours to realize that it was probably one of the best things that ever was going to happen to my football career. And, you know, going into a different room, I said this in an interview the other day, I needed to listen before I could lead. And, you know, for the first couple of months or, you know, days and weeks, I would say that I wanted to listen to the guys and hear them out and see how that they did things so that I could, you know, make my mark eventually when the time had came. Because, I mean, nobody wants a leader that's just selfish and only thinks about them. And I said this about, I mean, we have so many different running styles in our room. Jarvis, who's hurt right now, he's so patient in the backfield. I really just watched him, you know, throughout practice and then spring and, you know, early in camp. It really helped me slow my pace down, you know, coming from receiver where it's all about being fast off the ball. And now at running back is how can you set people up and help your blockers, you know, blockers, you know, set you up in the right way. And then you got Keith Adams, who, you know, is one of the best pass pro blockers on our team. And, you know, just watching him and watching film on him of how he sinks his hips and, you know, moves in front of guys and moves his feet and, you know, protects the quarterback well. And Easy E, you know, me and him being two of the tallest in the room, how we can, you know, have our pad levels lower and, you know, make certain cuts that will help us be more explosive since we're taller guys. And then you got Gid, you know, one of the you know, really highly recruited running back coming out of high school, and, you know, him being the young pup, but also showing us different things because he's so explosive and so, you know, agile, as I would say. You know, he brings just such a, you know, new energy into the room. So all those guys within the room and, you know, hopefully getting Jay back here soon, you know, it was really important for me. I wanted to have the mindset to listen before I could lead. And then now, you know, those guys, you know, pouring into me each and every day, I have the opportunity to go out there and you know, showcase my skills and my abilities.
Well, and Ronan, you got kind of a 4-month head start, but it's not much of one because you really didn't have any prep time. You got thrown into safety the week of the Georgia game last year. I mean, do you feel like you're on just a completely different planet now that you actually had an off season to prepare?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I think the biggest thing was like the knowledge standpoint, like I said earlier. Just, you know, I didn't really learn like the details of like different coverages and, you know, how defense really works. And, you know, that's kind of honestly the stepping point before you can, like, you know, learn offenses again. But the great thing was, you know, me and Adam both, we were already, you know, we already knew another position, so it helped us out in, you know, the position we moved to. So when I moved, it was, you know, I didn't know what I didn't know at that point. And, you know, a bunch of, obviously, you know, Coach Khan was great helping me, and Nolan Turner was a huge help. And, you know, a bunch of older guys like, you know, Tyler Venables and, you know, RJ when he was here, Khalil, and, you know, a bunch of the other guys, just really helping me out and, you know, teaching me, whether it's physical or mental, just, you know, studying film or whatever, like my footwork, just watching those guys and, you know, still to this day, watching those guys and how they rep, really just trying to take in all I can right now. Because you know, like Adam said, you kind of gotta listen before you can lead. So being kind of like an older guy in that room, I didn't have much experience at that position, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, just go see what see the guy with the ball and go get him down on the ground. So, you know, I like to think try to be really physical, and I think that's a big part of my game. And just, you know, watching those other guys and their footwork is what I'm, you know, kind of just trying to learn right now. And that's kind of going to be the next big step for me, is trying to, you know, just get all the footwork and, you know, man coverage and all this other stuff down. So.
Well, and there's a lot of young football players, people who are trying to come up and earn offers at Clemson or elsewhere. What would be a very quick message or one thing you would tell a young football player who's approached by a coach about a possible position switch?
I would say just be open to it. You know, I think I said earlier, like, I'm just a football player and I just want to get on the field any way possible. So if, you know, a coach comes up to you and says, you know, you think this will be better for you or whatever else, just be open to that and, you know, just know they have the best interest for you in mind. And at the end of the day, you're there to play football, and you might like one position better or whatever else, but if the other one's going to get you on the field faster, that's what really matters.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, but yeah, just be open-minded. I would say, make sure that, you can physically play the position, but be open-minded, and you put, and when you do move, don't sulk and, pout about it. Put your best foot forward and, try to make the biggest impact on your team that you can.
You all alluded to this earlier, and I don't want to gloss over it, but special teams changed the trajectory of both of your careers, because Ronan comes in immediately and becomes an absolute menace on all the special teams in the coverage units. So I think the plan was to redshirt you, and they're like, we can't take Ronan off a special team. Like, we're making our team worse if we sit this guy for 8 regular season games. And then Adam, I mean, yours by almost sheer happenstance, Jay Haynes goes down. We know the way that the ACC championship went, and I understand you pretty much volunteered for the return role. Is that right?
Yep.
And then, I mean, you have your big return against SMU, and Coach Sweeney, Coach Riley, everybody on the staff has said recently, that was the moment. They're like, wait a minute, should we just be handing the ball to Adam? That was the moment that the discussion about running back started, was watching you on that return. So I just want to hear from both of you how you all would describe the importance of special teams, not only, in the game of football as a whole and to the team, but what it's meant for your careers.
I'll go, because I'm not a special teams guru like Ronan. But, being a returner, I did it in high school, and, I knew that being back there, I could make a difference. And I think that I would say don't cut your nose off to spite your face, as my mom would say. Every day on Wednesday, I would go back there and catch kickoff returns, even though I knew I was on the front line. I knew that even if there was an opportunity of me getting back there, I knew that I was going to at least be able to fair catch it, and you could get the ball in the 25. And I think I did that once or twice before I was able to return it, because we had got a couple of possessions back. And when Coach Sweeney gave me the green light to return it, it just was, it was all or nothing at that point. I knew as long as I held onto the ball, I really couldn't go any wrong. We were either going to go into overtime, or we were going to move the ball fast enough down the field to get a field goal. So, it just was a blessing in disguise. And I think that, like I said, me being back there and showing Coach Spiller that I could catch the returns on Wednesday during specialty period every single week really gave him the confidence in me to go back there to at least know how to field the ball.
Yeah, there's very clearly a direct line for you, Ronan, of how those skills seem to translate.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said earlier, it was the fastest way on the field for me. I came in, I didn't really have the knowledge or whatever enough to play wide receiver right away, and that's one of the things I found out was, you just keep your nose down and work hard, and things get noticed. So I didn't start out on any of them. I kind of just got in there and was scout team originally for the first whatever it was fall camp. Then I just tried as hard as I could and tried to be as tough as possible and hit as hard as I could and whatever else. And that obviously ended up making a path for me in special teams. And Coach Gilchrist has a great plan, set out for us every week and whatever else. And one of the other kids was Jamal Anderson, that it was kind of just us two that always were the two guys that would be on every single special teams unit, whatever it was. And that was our way on the field our freshman year. And you just do your role as hard as you can, and you'll get noticed and things will work out for you.
Well, that's another great lesson for the young football players that are watching this as well. Before we wrap up, we did want to go to one more piece of video, and Ronan, it's from your recruiting process. This had to be one of the first snowball fights in Clemson football recruiting history. Tell us what we're looking at here.
I need to give the backstory first. So this was whenever this was, January. And obviously I live in, north of Boston in Massachusetts, and it's snowy and cold and whatever else up there all the time, pretty much year round. And my little brother Eli, I think he was probably 11 there. He's 14 now, and he said, "Why don't we, throw snowballs at them?" And someone was like, "Nah, you can't do that. They're coaches, whatever else." And I think it was my dad was like, "Well, why not?" So his whole mastermind plan the whole time was, just make a bunch of snowballs and, we'll have a snowball fight right when they get there. So they got there and, we kind of just drove around. I was showing them the area and we're Hanafin, the Irish Catholic family, rules the whole town in our little section there. And, driving around and stuff. And right when we got back, Eli was waiting there with a snowball for Coach Sweeney right when he jumped out of that car. And I think it was literally Coach Riley's first visit. And his, he was only in Clemson. He literally came to Clemson and then flew right to Boston. So,
yeah, I'm not sure the ink was dry on the contract.
No, yeah, he signed it the couple days before. So it was Coach Sweeney, Coach Riley, and Coach Grish that all came up. And, we decided that it would be a great idea to start pelleting them with snowballs. So,
that has to be one of the most unique in-home visits in the 130-year history.
It was definitely all time,
Clemson football. That's so great.
Great.
I'm so glad that got shared. As we kind of wrap everything up here, obviously a great challenge in the week ahead, opening road play, opening ACC play against a really, really good Georgia Tech team. Mm-hmm. Just very quickly, kind of some opening thoughts on where the team's mindset and focus is heading into this week.
For us, offensively, I think that we just want to build off last week's second half performance, 27 straight points. I think that we all know on offense that what we have in our room, we can be electric and we can be one of the best offenses in the country. We just got to go out there and do it. So I think that we just need to get back to work and, focus on the minor details. I'm going to bring my best game in practice and, in meetings every single day to, make this offense one of the best in the country. And we just need to continue to look forward and, play our best game.
Yeah, similar to what Adam said. Just, focus on the details of every single day. We learn from the mistakes and, what's happened, and, you move on and you just learn from it. Coach Allen has a great plan for us every single week, and it's up to us to execute it. And, as a defense, I think we're more than prepared and more than ready. And, we just got to have a great week of practice and let's go. Let's do it.
Well, before we sign off, we want to get your followers up. Where can our fans find you all on social media?
I think my name is Adam Randall8 on Instagram and Adam A Randall 8 on Twitter. So yeah.
Ron?
I think mine's just Ronan Hanafin, everything. Yeah. So
Smart man. Easy brand in there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll wrap up Adam and Ronan on another episode of Two Right Turns, the Clemson Football Podcast. But before we head out, we have a special treat for you all. Earlier, we were able to sit down with Ross Chastain, NASCAR driver, as part of our partnership with Darlington Raceway. Stay tuned for that and make sure to like and subscribe for more episodes of Two Right Turns, a Clemson Football Podcast.
Hey, Tiger fans. Josh Harris, track president at Darlington Raceway.
And I am Ross Chastain, and I drive the #1 car.
We're here today. We're going to do some fast facts, Darlington style.
Let's go make 2 right turns, Josh.
Let's do it. All right, Ross, we're out here making the infamous 2 right turns around Death Valley. You're used to making mostly left turns. How does it feel taking these right turns?
In this car, it feels right. This thing, it's crazy to think 75 years ago this car was in the first race in Darlington. I feel pretty fortunate we're getting to do it.
Yeah, this is awesome. You know who won that first race at Darlington, that first Southern 500?
I know he had hard tires on, and he never changed the tire, but I don't remember his last name.
Johnny Mance. Johnny Mance. So today, when you're out there running 500 miles, what's the toughest corner, in your opinion?
For me, the entry of turn 1 and trying to get up the hill with speed and not use my tires up.
So did you ever play football when you were a kid?
Look at me. You think I play football?
They call this place something, I can't quite think of it. You know what it is?
Death Valley.
Death Valley. For those listeners at home, what are Darlington's nicknames?
Man, the Lady in Black.
What other famous nickname?
Yeah, just that it's too tough to tame.
Too tough to tame. And written all over the back of the car.
It is. And making those 2 right turns, just thinking about all the great football players that have done that, and then what they then went and accomplished on this field. That's what sports is all about.
Hopefully, we'll see each other in Mobile One Victory Lane after the Cookout Southern 500.
It's a date.
We'll do it.